I'm Philippa Sutton, and I've been in charge of the Marine and Freshwater Science course this year, running mainly for this semester for our international students. As part of the course, we looked at a wide range of marine environments, as well as our freshwater system. So these students have basically covered the whole ecology of the area, right from holding the 300-year-old ice up at the Tasman Glacier to as recreational users at Kakanui on a surfing expedition, with a lot of other things thrown in. Their participation and I think learning in it has been huge. It's been an absolute pleasure for me to have been able to do it. As part of the course though, inherent was the fact that they had to do a digital diary and also include in that certain observations about how they viewed it as a stakeholder, whether it was from a recreational point of view, somebody who might need use of the land or the area, or merely as a tourist. Okay, so I'm now going to hand over to the students, and first up is Matthias. Thank you.
I hope it's okay for everyone if I don't start straight away with our troops. Before I start, I wanted to give a massive thank you to Ms. Sutton, because during my stay in New Zealand I met so many other internationals all over New Zealand, and I have never heard of a cruise like this. When you arrive in a new country, you wanna view the country as it's your own, and you wanna see every part of the country, and that's exactly what Ms. Sutton has made possible. She showed us so much of this country, no matter if it was a cultural aspect or an aspect of the nature. Thank you so much. As I said before, we experienced so much, and as Ms. Sutton said, we did surfing, which was probably the most fun thing we did. I'd never surfed before, and we had a lot of fun straight away, but in my opinion it is more important to mention the things we learned by seeing them and not only by reading them in any book or something like that. We saw some big problems for the flora and fauna in New Zealand, but also we saw places that are working to protect exactly these threatened species. To name a couple of these species, I want to start with the albatross. We saw the albatross in Dunedin. It is a majestic seabird, and they deserve our protection for several reasons. Every animal plays a crucial role in the ecosystem. So does the albatross in the marine ecosystem. They are predators and maintain the balance of the ocean food webs, but albatross are sensitive to changes in their environment, and the population health reflects their overall health. So their biggest threats are the plastic pollution, the climate change, and getting caught by fishing gear. So protecting the birds is not only about protecting a simple species, it's also about protecting the balance of the ocean food webs and the marine environment. Another example that is more based on plants is the Quarantine Island in Dunedin. Back in the days, there used to be a hospital on it for the ships that arrived from another country to prevent new disease on the mainland. After the hospital was closed, people started to recreate the nature and replant native species. It's pretty impressive to see what New Zealand looked like back in the days, but it's also sad because you know that there are trees that can get up to 300 years, but they won't reach their age because of the rising sea level that will flood the island soon, and the trees can't live there anymore because of the salinity of the water. A further example of the effects on a natural system is the Tasman Glacier. It is the largest glacier in New Zealand, and this fact makes it even more worrying to see how fast it's melting. If you are on a glacial terminal lake, you don't even realize how big everything is and how much ice has already been melted away. And if you see these huge ice blocks floating on the lake, on the pictures as well, you have to mention that 10 times of the amount of the ice you can see is still underwater. And each year around about 600 meters of ice are melting away. So it is estimated that the whole glacier will disappear in 10 to 19 years. It is also sure that no matter what we do, we can't stop the glacier from melting. Of course, we all know that we can't stop the climate change, we can't undo the plastic and air pollution or different types of overhunting. That sounds depressing, and it is. But when we see things like that, we have to think about them and do something to at least prevent that more such natural disasters happen, and we don't have to be depressed. An example for working for some threatened species is the Orokonui Eco Sanctuary. It is a reserve that is protected by a predator fence that allows native wildlife to thrive without predators or pests. The goal is not only to create a healthy ecosystem free of all introduced mammals and compromising indigenous species, but also to reintroduce species which were nearly extinct so that they can also live outside of the reserve. First achievements you can also see in Wellington. There's a sanctuary, and they achieved that kakas can live all over Wellington now. It is important to have such non-for-profit conservation projects because it's the only way to reintroduce and stock them up naturally endangered species. So as you can see, there are still ways to fight for all the impressive nature that we can especially see in New Zealand. I think we'll always remember the great time we had and what we could learn by seeing it and not only by reading it in any book. Thank you again for the great time.
So in our marine and freshwater cruise, we really got to see New Zealand from top to bottom. We had a great look at the glacier, which is really incredible to see. We had a boat tour over it, and we got to touch the ice, which is crazy to think about because that ice is over 1,000 years old. But even though it is so impressive, it is also really sad because every day 30 centimeters of the glacier wall is shrinking. If the ice comes out, it's definitely very clear, but as you can see, sometimes it's quite dirty, and that's because in the 1,000-year-old ice there's dirt and stones, and as it comes up, it bursts and it becomes like a dirty look. The melting of the ice is non-stoppable. So the glacier is already 23 kilometers long and over 600 meters deep. In about 20 years, the whole wall will be melted and the only glacier will be on top of the mountain. In 40 years, none of the glacier will be seen.
Another highlight of for me was the Orokonui Center because we got to see a lot of the native birds and plants from New Zealand. And the Orokonui Eco Center is a 300 hectares coastal taiga forest, which is surrounded by a fence to keep away the introduced mammalian predators so that native animals like birds, but also insects and plants can grow, and it's also free from pests. And they also reintroduced rare and endangered species, such as the kaka bird. It was introduced into the Orokonuis in 2008, and now they have about 60 birds, which is quite good. And also this bird, the takahe, is a success for them because it thought to be extinct until 1948, and now they have again a few. And this just shows how important it is to keep alive the ecosystem and the native forest and animals. My, and I think also Liv's personal favorite was the day we went surfing because it was a really fun activity. Yes, we had a lot of fun. And also a thank you to the Soul Surf and Skate, I think, which made our day happen. And after surfing, we went for a walk along the coast, and Ms. Hutton explained us about the erosion and the coastal lines. And what stayed in my mind is we saw a lot of dead crabs, which shows us that there is a big change in the environment, which leads to death of a lot of animals.
And now at the end, again, a really big thank you, Ms. Hutton, for making that happen and for us to see New Zealand from that perspective. I think without that course, we wouldn't have seen that much, so really thank you a lot.
Yeah. So they've only just been with us just this term, so missed out on some of the earlier opportunities, and this has come as a bit of a rush, the fact they had to do a presentation. And just while I've got them, sorry, we haven't got Isabel and Sophie, so I'm kind of missing their perspective on things because they give a kind of different view, but we'll get them to do it and make sure that they do one and we record it. Okay. So go, we'll see, just, yeah, you're quite happy to press the side and see. Yeah, so just that, yeah, okay, awesome.
Our marine and freshwater science trips. The content of our presentation, first we're going to talk about the Orokonui Eco Sanctuary, and then about the Karatani River Walker tour that we did. And another point of our presentation is the opera, and we're going to talk about Twizel.
The Orokonui Sanctuary is a protected area with a fence that keeps predators out. This is a safe environment that allows native animals to live and thrive. The goal is to create a healthy ecosystem with only native species. It also aims to bring back animals that were almost extinct. For example, kaka birds are now common in Wellington because of similar efforts. These conservation projects are crucial for saving endangered animal and plants. They help reintroduce the species into the wild national.
About the Karatani River Walker tour. We learned to paddle traditional Maori waka with Chris, our guide. Waka's importance in Maori culture is they went fishing with them, travel and explore New Zealand. And we heard a lot of stories about the area's creation and the Maori legends from Chris. And we also planted Nikau and Harakeko at dunes as part of 200-year narrative plant restoration. Restoring rivers, ecosystem, and historical significance due to declining water quality.
The opera. The reserve is still focused on saving the yellow-eyed penguin. They are also planting native trees and plants. This will help bring back many different native species. Projects like this are important to keep many species alive, especially those at risk of extinction. Saving these species is important for the whole ecosystem. If one species goes extinct, it can upset the balance of the environment. Supporting projects like this is essential.
About Twizel. On the Waitaki River and its tributaries are historically significant and critical to the region. Its milky color is due to glacier silt from Tasman Glacier in Mount Cook National Park. The Waitaki hydropower scheme includes 8 stations and contributed significantly to New Zealand's 87% renewable electricity in 2022. The river supports irrigation, enhancing agricultural productivity in dry areas. Dam construction lead to flooding and loss of farmland, impacting local farmers. Overall, the Waitaki River serves as a dual resource, a power source and a critical asset for agriculture, recreation and conservation.
Also in Treisel, we saw the Tasman Glacier in its largest glacier in New Zealand with 23.5 kilometers. There's a rapid melting, significantly retreat in 17 years. The ice loss is difficult to comprehend from Terminal Lake. The ice composition majorly underwater, only small portions are visible. The melting rate is about 600 meters annually. Future, the expanded disappearance, so the glacier will be gone in 10 to 19 years. And the concerns the potential dam break at the Tasman Lake. Human-caused climate change shows the need for urgent actions to slow down and prevent natural disasters. Even if we stop the climate change, right now we can't stop the glacier from melting.
And on our last day from Treisel, we got a tour from the old studio from the Sutton, Serena, and we saw the khaki or slits. There are gathered birds found only in New Zealand, living in riverbeds, streams or swamps. They're by predators like wildcats and ferrets, inhabited lost due to human activities, especially around Treisel. A special program near Treisel that we visit collects eggs from riverbeds, identifies each bird with a wristband, and raises eggs from parents with good genes in captivity to ensure a healthy population and protect chicks from predator. Conservation efforts have increased khaki number to 170 adults in the wild in 2019-20 and 2020-21. And also from us, there's a big thank you to you, Ms. Sutton, and for all the great trips and experiences.
Hello and welcome to our presentation about marine science. Because you already heard so many amazing presentations, we're going to hold our presentation really short, compact and cute. So, we have our 4 favorite science trips are...
Oh yeah, so we start with Muraraki, then we have the crab camp, we have the Karitani Maori boat tour, and we have the Treisel trip.
We start with the first one. Okay. We visit a wonderful beach with the stones. The stones are 68 million years old, and Maori was actually believing that the stones are really spiritual because they are coming out of the ground. They are not, because the beach is floating, the sand is going back, like the water is coming and the sand is going back. The stones are coming out of the thing. So it looks like this. And what's really interesting, Mrs. Hutton was giving us wonderful information about this. Thank you, Mrs. Hutton.
Okay, so we went to the Dunedin crab camp in February, and we did some
science. On Tuesday, every German else was away, and we actually spent the day in the crab camp. So we had a nice experiment. Our experiment was the crabs, this, was actually in a little bowl here.
like in here.
And we had like stones. And the thing was, we actually asked ourselves what would happen if the crabs how long does it take for the crab in different oxygen to go to different stones. So we actually measured this. First our settlings was like this. Wow! We put it up. First we filled the plastic container with salt water. We measured how much oxygen is in the salt water. Then we put stones in it, and we had like 10 crabs, so obviously it's the same crabs, obviously. And we started to measure the time, how much the crabs need in normal oxygen to water. Normal is like 70%. Then Sophie and me was bubbling, like this, in the water. So we actually got water out because we took oxygen away. We took oxygen away from the water. So we was bubbling in the water. Okay, the oxygen was away. We set the crab back into the water. In the middle, we had like a little
We had a stopwatch so we could take the time.
Kreuz. Yeah, we had a little cross. Yeah, the cross. Thank you. We had a cross in the middle that we set this. We had this stone, the crab always at the same point.
Yeah, and then we took the time, like how long it took the crab to go there. And some of them were very fast, some of them were very slow.
Also, we had like different kinds of crab. We had like 4 different crab kinds, and we had like each of every crab kind 2, plus from the main 2 we had like 1 more. So it was really interesting to see which stones they're also going to take, because some crabs are bigger, so they're taking the bigger stone. Some crabs don't like so much water, they like more sand. So they took more the sandy, more smaller stone. Right, that was really interesting. It's not for super something.
Yeah, that was like an aquarium. They had a really cool octopus in there.
I was going to skip in here because these girls actually did most of the requirements for the NCA Level 3 Small Animal Study. So because they're not doing it for academic requirements, they didn't complete the full write-up, but they certainly did all the evidence for the lab-based practical over those 3 days. So they did really, really well.
And we actually have the study still, if you want to look around, we have still a book. Okay.
I want to talk. So we went to Karitani somewhere in May, I think, to go on a Maori canoe. They're called wakas. So yeah, and we paddled there like a half hour, and we were both in front.
Yeah,
like
we were sitting here.
Yeah, I think that's from
Yeah, here. He was sitting here.
We had to paddle like in the rhythm of a Maori song. I don't know, it was just screaming Maori words, and we had to.
We had like
paddle.
literally, we show each other. Take the remote, we show. Hey up! And then she was paddling. Hey up! Hey up!
Yeah, like this. Okay, and then we went like, because there's like the river is here, and then there's a bit of. There was a bit of land, and then there was the beach. So between the river and the beach, the land, we stopped there, I guess, and we planted like, I think it was a looping flower, and we had to sing something in Maori.
We sing the school hacker, and we all sing together the school hacker. Mrs. Hutton was leading, and we were singing, and then we also was singing because Sophie and me, our favorite song in Maori is Te Hawahe, and we were singing Te Amoe Ekonoria Minata Bote. Okay.
Yeah, we were singing it because like, yeah, I wasn't finished yet. Yeah, but it was really cool, and that guy, he taught us a bit about the local Maori history. Yeah, Chris. Yeah.
The trisel trip. We had 3 days of amazing trisel trip. First things first, we started here, and we got picked up like at 10-ish, and we was driving to Mrs. Hutton's place where she got born, like the place where you grew up. And we also got to Kura. We also got to Kura, and there's like a little mountain in Kura, and they actually have like little shares on the mountain. So Sophie and me was going up the mountain, up to like half, maybe a little bit more, because we was giving up eating. And we was eating pommes. Chips. We was eating chips, the best chips we ever eat in our life. So yeah. And then we actually
Can we actually talk of Twizel? No, we actually just stayed in Twizel for the night and then we went to the Mount Cook National Park.
And this was so much fun. We actually even got to a glacier tour around, and this is really sad because we saw a glacier, but the glacier is always melting point. So in the next 30 years, this glacier is going to be melted completely. The problem on this thing is, this glacier is one third of all the glaciers in New Zealand. So when this glacier is melted completely, you only have 2/3 of the glacier left. And this glaciers, and we all know we have climate change, and this is really not good.
Yeah, because there was like, I think he said it melts like 30 centimeters a day. So the whole lake we went on this year, it
Was
was
60 years.
created in
60 years.
6 years. No, 30 years. Okay, never mind.
60.
It was created not so long ago.
The thing is, in 90 years, we can't go on this lake anymore because the lake is going to be so high that it's not be in the lake anymore. And the side where we can see like the Mount Cook side, the back side of Mount Cook, we can't see in 90 years anymore. You will actually need to fly with a helicopter around. So please, do something for nature. Don't fly around running. Don't use plastic bags. Do something for nature because we already have the issues, we already have the problems, and we don't want any more now. So,
Yeah.
but yes, we had so much fun. We actually built a snowman.
No, I got it.
I don't know. Oh, it's working.
She's building a snowman for you.
Apparently, you said you never built a snowman in your life. You're building. And we're going to call it Augustine. I am hurrying up. That's a base. That's the middle part. And this is, wow, it's a snowman. The base is a little bit small. Shit happens.
This is uncool.
Oh, maybe. Okay. For a little thing, my boyfriend never built a snowman in his life. He's from South America, so yeah. But this trip was amazing. We thank you for all this time, Mrs. Hutton. Thank you so much for organizing all the stuff. We had so much fun. We learned actually something.
Sorry, it's a bit messed up, but it's, yeah.
It's us. We are messed up.
That work and effort that you've put in has made it really an amazing experience for me to be on. I'm really impressed with your presentations. They are fantastic, and also how you have mastered the English as well, because that's as much of it as well as the learning to actually have done those presentations and stood up here. I think you'll agree. So thank